So today on Idiot School Running, we have Nick Weston again. Say hello, Nick.
Hello, Nick.
On our show, we've got a guest who likes to run. Do they really? Do they jog around the place just for fun? That's not fun. Are they a professional athlete? Nope. Lining at the start with the elite. It don't matter. We've got a guest on our show because we asked and they didn't say no. It don't matter because our show has a guest. It does. Pretty much because we asked and they said yes.
How's it going?
It is going. Oh, you're asking me how's it going? That's new. Now that is new. I usually ask a guest how's it going. How's it going, Nick?
Yeah, going pretty well. Just recovering from Causeway Coast Ultra Marathon, which was about two and a half weeks ago. So as you can see, in homage to Dean Karnazes, friend of the show, we're wearing our robes, and yeah, I haven't really done too much since that run. A little bit of mileage, but nothing too serious. So taking a couple of weeks just to chill out in my robe, just like Dean.
Just like Dean, as you do. Dean doesn't chill out. But let's rewind, Nick. So last time you were on the show, it was a while ago. Since then, you have finished the Belfast Marathon. You've delivered us 15 tips. We finished the Northern Ireland 100. You've finished and won the Causeway Coast Ultra Marathon. Where do we start, Nick? You tell us, where do we start? Let's start with the Belfast Marathon. How did it go?
Yeah. Oh, well, so Belfast Marathon was my main target for the first half of 2024, really. So I'd done a lot of prep work beforehand. I normally do about an 18-week training block. So I think when we last spoke, there was snow on the ground, wasn't there? So, because I remember there was all that, toing and froing about whether I was going to make it over. So that must have been January, would it have been? Something like that. So I was just starting my marathon prep. I had a couple of half marathons, very, very road focused, build up, managed to run a half marathon PB at Portadown Half. And so that, showed me that, training had been going well. Did Belfast Marathon, and in my head, I wanted to come on the podium for my age category because I am now, well, actually it was my birthday yesterday. I was 41 yesterday. So at Belfast Marathon, I was 40. So I knew I was in this new age category, and I just managed to achieve that. I was third in my age category, and maybe an unexpected bonus was that I managed to run just a whisker under 2 hours and 35 minutes, which when you are over 40, so the 2 hour 35 mark is that's the number you need to beat in order to get an invite to the Abbott Marathon Majors Age Group World Championships. So, by a whole 2 seconds, I managed to scrape under that time, which now means there is a chance I could be competing in New York, the New York Marathon next year, as part of the Age Group World Championships. So I'm really excited about that. There's a couple of hoops to jump through, but that really set me up then. And I was really happy with the way that first half of the season went. And then it was on to Causeway Coast Ultra Marathon training.
So you touched on the New York Marathon. Can you choose? So you've ran this time by 2 seconds, Nick. It could have been 1 second. So New York, can you choose any of the Abbott majors?
Well, the way this works is that it's been going a few years now, so it's a relatively new concept, I believe. But Abbott run this Age Group World Championships at one of the major marathons every year. So it could have been London, it could have been Berlin. It could, you didn't know. It was actually only released fairly recently that New York would be the host marathon. So they piggyback the World Championships onto one of the existing majors. And I guess it's just a nice thing to go and compete, you get to go and run one of the major marathons, and you also get to compete with people that are in your age category as a race. So it's an exciting prospect. I mean, there at my age category, 40 to 44, you are looking at some of the potentially ex-Olympians turning up. The times that they're running are astronomical. So I've not got any aspirations of winning this or anything like that, but just turning up for the experience.
So you finished Belfast Marathon. You basically qualified for an Abbots place in New York, and then you went to run the Causeway Coast ultra marathon. Now you turn up to this as the previous winner. How did you feel, Nick? How did you feel turning up to this event?
Well, I definitely felt more pressure this year. We'd done a lot of promotional work around it. At this point, I'm gonna take this robe off because A, it's really hot, but B, terrible bit of and shameless product placement for Basalt 6. Here we go. There's the sponsor. But no, so Basalt 6 took me on as an ambassador after I won last year. So we did quite a lot of promotional work around the Causeway, and there was definitely an extra layer of pressure because the previous winner, everyone knew I was turning up again, so I felt like there probably was a bit of a target on my back. I would say it was definitely a different experience in the build up. But come race day, you never know what's going to happen, and all you can do is run. So that's what I did.
So myself and Andrew, we had concocted a cunning plan. Well, it wasn't very cunning. It was more we decided to, let's go and support Nick and just turn up at the start, because me and Andrew, we were competing against you last year. Very tight finish between us and yourselves.
It was close. Yeah. I think you nearly got to mile 26 when I finished. Was it?
I don't know. Mile 26 is very, very favourable in our hand. Bear in mind, I was carrying Andrew across at about that stage. He was suffering badly, but we went to see you and we turned up, and you looked in good shape, Nick.
At the point you saw me, about mile 2, I actually did feel in quite good shape at that point. Yeah.
You were fresh and you were ready to go. Me and Andrew, we went and got a coffee, and then we seen you running around the corner. Now, it took Andrew the same amount of time to drive to that area as it took you to run to that area. And I think we were standing there and you were neck and neck with a fella, and that wasn't far into it, but you kind of stayed with him most of the way.
Yeah, there was definitely a little bit of toing and froing at the start. I would just say it was massively appreciated to have that support out on course. I mean, there was you guys there. The high fives were flying left, right, and centre, and you just kept popping up. And I thought, I'm going to have to try a bit harder. I better look good because he's probably filming this. So, look like you're fresh, even if you're not. So it was great to have support out on the course. But a chap called Matty, who it turned out our marathon PBs are only seconds apart. So in that race, I've always slightly felt I had a bit of an advantage because I've got good marathon speed as well as some ultra endurance. But then when you're chatting to the guy you're running with, and it turns out that he is essentially as fast as you, that definitely knocked me a little bit. So I thought, well, I'm going to have to just stick with him. But he ran really strongly for probably 30 miles. And there was a point at which he had a minute lead on me. So we weren't really together for the whole time, that I would maybe take the lead for a bit. But most of the time, he actually was in front. And I certainly felt that there was a good chance that I was running for second. But at some point around about mile 30, I think it was, I could see him up front, hunched over, and he cramped really badly and just lost the ability to run. And I also was cramping, but didn't let it show. So I just ran past him and I just put on a brave face for 2 minutes. Yeah. So, and then I managed to just hold on to that lead, but I would say I had to dig very deep. There's some pictures of me at the finish, so completely unable to stand because my legs were cramping. And yeah, it was that was definitely a race where I had to dig very deep for a good couple of hours. But I thought, well, all these good people have turned up to support me, and I knew my wife and kids were there at the end as well, which that never happens. Often I'm off racing all over the place. So I knew the kids were there, and I thought I've really just got to put everything into this. So yeah, it was good. Good day out.
I saw pictures of you, Nick, crossing the finish line, and you actually seemed in a bit of agony. And so what you're saying is you pushed harder because of the support that was there with you. So am I right in saying, and I'll speak for Andrew on this one, Andrew said to me afterwards, he goes, if we hadn't given Nick that high five, you probably would have been in second place. Are we right in saying that, or is that a bit of a stretch?
No, I'd say that's probably a fair assumption. I think Andrew, I would say, solely responsible for my win that day. No other explanation for it. Yeah,
I think he's emailed him to get a medal so he can frame it himself for finishing first in the Causeway Coast Ultra, sponsored by Basalt 6. So that's up till now. What have you done since? You said you've taken you're now going down Andrew's route and you're taking some rest days. What are you doing now? What's next? Are you going back next year? What's the story?
Well, I think if the New York Marathon situation is all systems go, and that date is actually November, so I don't fancy trying to run a fast New York Marathon, which is quite a hilly, challenging course. But I think if I did the Causeway Coast Ultra, that would significantly hamper any sort of preparation I had for New York. So I think I might have to say that it was just 2 in a row, and then let somebody else take the reins for the third. Let someone
else take over. And Andrew, maybe if they want to get in contact with Andrew, get in contact with the show. He will be willing to give them a high five if they feel that's necessary. So you mentioned that the New York's quite a hilly course, is it?
Yeah, I think it's got some undulations in it. Yeah, and it's not like Boston, but I think in terms of road marathons, it's known for having quite a challenging course, and especially I think the finish is Central Park, and there's some undulations there, so it's not known for its really quick time. So I don't think it's not a PB course. It's maybe one for the maybe a slightly stronger athlete who's good on hills, that kind of thing. Whereas the likes of Berlin is a quick flat course.
Yeah, and Berlin's just passed, and so you've got London under your belt now, New York under your belt now. Have you got other ones in your sights?
I think I would like to do all 6 if I can. One of your previous guests has done it, and I thought that was, it's an inspirational sort of story to listen to people who've done it. The problem is that these races are difficult to get a place at sometimes. So I'm hoping that with the pace I can run these things, that my qualifications will be okay. But there's a whole logistical thing around the travel and time of years that these races are, things like that. So I've got the kids to factor in as well, and it seems like I'll be having to travel to New York on my own just because of the way that school exams and things are timed. So yeah, so it's not just me running and doing what I want to do. I have to take into consideration the family, and also I do have a full-time job as well.
You do,
not just running.
Not just running. And Yeah, you do have a full-time job and you've got kids and everything to look after, and these events, as far as I know, the prices are hiked up in the areas. The flights won't be cheap, the accommodation won't be cheap, and yeah, it's the price you pay for all that glory and that one medal, isn't that right?
Well, isn't it amazing the lengths that we'll go to just to get that finish line feeling? I think that's where maybe you found on the 100-mile races. I found that runner's high you get after a marathon, you can multiply that by 4 when you do a 100-miler. It just feels like such an amazing achievement. And so I don't know how you felt, what sort of level of buzz you got after that 100.
I was just crossing the finish line, and do you know what? Part of my buzz was from Andrew not doing much wrong. I was able to get Andrew across the finish line as well. Both of us crossed the finish line, and from someone who's we can all agree, Andrew will be listening to this, not really a big massive trainer and a big massive runner, but he just loves the events and he loves the adventure. How he just crosses these lines with very minimal training is phenomenal. It surprises me every time. And now, speaking of Andrew, I suppose it is the time for Andrew's question.
Well, I've been trying to prepare for this, and I just thought, what am I going to do? There's no preparation that you can possibly get you through Andrew's question, so you're just going to have to hit me with it.
Yeah, if you're a first-time listener to our podcasts, Andrew has a question, and goodness knows where he pulls these questions from. Actually, do you know what? I'm not allowed to say in the show where he pulls these questions from, but this is a special one for you, Nick.
Nick, you're an exceptional runner and an exceptional running coach, and you have helped me and Colin so much with all your tips and advice. And I'm looking at another tip from you today. How can you teach us to run on Lego? Yes, that's right. How can I run, not even just run on Lego, how can I run barefooted on Lego? Most mornings I lie in, which means the kids lie in. I then get to their room and I have to get from the door to their bed to wake them up. But in the way is Lego. Every morning, tons of Lego. I have no time to look down and tiptoe through it. I just need to run and wake up my kids. Nick, what advice have you got about running barefooted on Lego?
I think there's a very simple solution.
Wear slippers?
Well, I was going to say sleep in shoes.
Oh, would you recommend any shoes that are comfy in bed?
I don't know. Dean can't answer. He's bound to have some answers there. Running on Lego, you've either got to sleep in shoes, or you're just going to have to man up and take the pain, or teach your kids to clear up. Maybe that would never work with mine.
No, nor mine. Now, this would go against all what Andrew believes in, but I'll have a go at answering it as well, is that if you were to run barefoot outside, harden your feet up, and become accustomed to that there pain, maybe just train on Lego, just walk around, get a slipper made of Lego.
You know the way they build those models out of Lego and then they glue them together so that people can't pull them apart, where you could easily build yourself some kind of running shoe. In fact, did I not see on Instagram that you can buy a Nike Pegasus 41 in Lego? I am sure I saw that somewhere.
No. I'm going to throw up the Nike Pegasus shoe if it exists. If it doesn't exist, I will get Andrew to make a shoe, or make a shoe out of Lego and post it here. But we'll throw the picture up here like this. Nick, what do you think about that Lego shoe?
Oh, epic. I got to say, though, I don't think you're supposed to wear it. I think you're supposed to look at it and admire it.
That's a fair point. Well, you would pick little Lego pieces as you go.
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't you? Yeah. Oh, no. You might have an issue there with stack height. I mean, the athletics federations get a bit funny about having more than 40 millimeters on your shoe. So if you're walking on Lego and picking it up as you go, you may get disqualified. Yeah, again, you're going to get disqualified. Andrew's tips, I always seem to get him disqualified from races. Actually, you do make a good point in that if you are trying to get used to running on something, anything, a certain surface or in a certain shoe, you just have to go and do it. So if you want to get used to walking or running on Lego, You just have to go and do it.
But you touched on a point there. There is a legal shoe limit. I didn't know this. This is new to me. So tell me about the limits on shoes and what you're not allowed to do with running shoes, stack heights and all. Do you know?
Yeah, so my understanding of it is that the maximum stack height you can have on a shoe to make it race legal is 40 millimeters. So you will often find that lots of these carbon plate super shoes are sitting at 39 millimeters just to make sure they're within the limits. But you can go out and buy shoes that are not legal to race in. So the one that springs to mind particularly is the Adidas, is it the Prime X Strung or something like that? And it has got an illegal stack height. So super cushioning, great for training on roads. And, a lot of people do like that shoe, but you couldn't turn up, certainly not in the elite field, and race that shoe. I mean, I think if you turned up just as an everyday runner in one of those, nobody's going to take your time off you. I don't think they've got the shoe police waiting for you at the finish line of London Marathon checking 40,000 people's shoes just in case somebody's got a stack height over what it's supposed to be. But yeah, so that's where that comes in.
I didn't know that.
I've got a story about Andrew. Yeah, so a little story about Andrew. So just before this podcast, he sent me a voice note because now he may or may not join us at some point. You never know. He may pop up and give me a high five. I mean, he might turn up at my house. I don't know. But he sent me a voice note saying he probably wouldn't be able to join us today because he was at the physio. Now, I thought, wow, Andrew's starting to take this running seriously. I mean, he's the guy that doesn't do training. He doesn't physio. That's the sort of thing. I mean, I go to the physio at least once a month just to keep me in decent shape and pick up any niggles I've got. I get, strength training programs, etc. So I thought, well, maybe Andrew I don't know, what's he got planned next year? Maybe he's got a big run coming up and he's going to the physio and getting some sensible advice. As the voice note went on, it transpired, actually, it wasn't him who was at the physio. He was merely chaperoning his wife. Made far more sense. Then it made sense. Yeah. So don't worry. He's not turning into a runner.
Has Andrew ever been to a physio, Nick? I don't think he has. Because I think to go to a physio, you have to put your body under some stress or under some pressure to actually force it into niggles and injuries. Andrew just tends to stick on kinesiology tape and throw DP on it, and it seems to solve any issue with him.
It's probably cheaper.
Well, do you see the amount of DP he goes through? It's probably not. He has bags of DP in his fridge or in his cupboard, just waiting for the day that when he gets injured, he's prepped and ready to go, Nick. Anything else, Nick, you want to tell us? Anything else on the show? Anything interesting about yourself? Anything we've missed that you can share with us?
Oh, well, we slightly alluded to it. I maybe should just mention the fact that, my full-time job, I'm actually a vet, so deal with mostly cats and dogs and small animals. So it just really shows that to anyone who has got a full-time job and kids and a family, with the right structures in place and the right kind of training and scheduling, you can still perform and run marathons and run ultras. And as you guys have shown as well, you both have jobs as well and families, and don't let those things put you off or, I don't want to say hold you back, because your family shouldn't hold you back. You wouldn't want to think of it like that. But I think if you get things right and you really schedule your life in a certain way, then you can make great things happen. And so I think ultra running and marathon running is for everyone. Everyone can do it. I have this sort of firm belief that if somebody decides, no matter what their situation, that they want to go and run a marathon or an ultra marathon, they can make it happen. You just have to maybe get a little bit of advice and guidance. Listen to Idiots Go Running, listen to Andrew's training, and you won't go far wrong.
That was amazing advice. That was class. Like, you could hear the running coach coming out of you there, and everything you were saying was on point. And then you got to the end and you said, Andrew's training plan, and you can't go wrong. Like, then you just lost me. But yes, Nick, you are a running coach, and running is for everyone, and it doesn't need to be big and expensive. You know, it's really just getting out and running. It's good for your mental health. It's good for your exercise. It's good for making you feel good. I love running. I love the adventure. I always say that. If someone's reaching out to get in touch with you, or they want Nick's running tips from yourself, how would they do that?
So probably the easiest way is just to find me on Instagram, or if you search for my company or brand, which is RNNNG, so the word running with the vowels taken out of it. That's probably the easiest way. Send me a message on Instagram or Facebook, and we can have a chat about any goals you might have, or aspirations, or races, or people. I coach people all over the world, bizarrely, because it's online based mostly. Although if somebody's local to me, we certainly go for runs. But I currently have somebody I'm coaching in the Cayman Islands, so that's my furthest coachee in terms of distance. Yeah, so you can apply these principles anywhere and everywhere, and you just need to have a little bit of guidance as to how to structure your training to try and get the most out of, well, where you live, but also the most out of your body, and what makes it running fit with your lifestyle. I mean, I'm a little bit tongue-in-cheek saying, look at Andrew's training, but genuinely, it shows you that if you have the mindset, you don't necessarily need to have every bit of fancy kit and, a sponsor and run 100 miles a week or whatever to get through some of the toughest races that, you can find. I mean, running 100 miles is no mean feat for anyone. So, it genuinely is achievable. And I think if you just have fun doing it, that's probably the absolute key. If you enjoy what you do, then it doesn't feel like a chore. So running isn't for everyone. Not everyone enjoys it. And I think you probably would struggle to run 100 miles if you didn't enjoy it. Whereas what you and Andrew show is that if you have fun and enjoy what you do, enjoy each other's company, you can achieve almost anything you put your mind to.
Nick, thank you so much. That's really kind words. And yeah, me and Andrew just enjoy every run. We enjoy running together. It's the fun, it's the banter that we say in Northern Ireland. But yeah, it's class. Thank you so much today for coming on Idiot School Running. Not only did you bring us a bit of your story, but you actually brought us really good tips and information about running, which you usually don't get on Idiot School Running podcasts, but stack height and everything, stuff I didn't know about. Thank you so much for coming on today, Nick.